Honorable members of the United Nations Special Committee on Decolonization, thank you for the opportunity to speak to you today. My name is Xiomara Torres. I'm here today as a representative of the Party for Socialism and Liberation, a multinational working class party organizing in cities across the US to build a revolutionary socialist movement from inside the belly of the beast. As a socialist, I condemn the centuries-long subjugation of Puerto Rico at the hands of Yankee colonialism, and I affirm my people's right to determine our own destiny, free from US imperialist meddling. I'm also here today as a member of the Puerto Rican diaspora. I am one of the almost 6 million Puerto Ricans living in the United States today. In the late 1950s, my grandparents and great-grandparents, like countless others, were boarded haphazardly onto makeshift cargo planes and shipped off to the United States. My family has been here for over 60 years now. My parents were born here, I was born here. Although my grandfather dreamed of moving back to Cuamo, he died and was buried in Reading, Pennsylvania in December of 2017. It will always break my heart that he never got to return. My family's story is not unique. Year after year, Puerto Rico's population continues to decline. Today, there are more Puerto Ricans living in the United States than there are on the island itself. Historically, this displacement has been referred to as the Great Migration. But it's important to acknowledge that our people do not migrate willingly or simply because they want to. When decades of underdevelopment and foreign occupation cause conditions so miserable in your homeland that you see no other option than to uproot and abandon your life, that is refugeeism. This is the reality that colonialism has created for Puerto Ricans. Unfortunately, under this reality, our people leave the island and arrive in the US only to experience a different side of the same colonial coin. While Puerto Ricans on the island protest raised utility prices and privatization of essential services caused by the likes of Luma and La Junta, my own childhood in the States was often marked by no water for showers, no heat in the winter, or no air conditioning in the summer because my father, who was working 2 jobs, still couldn't afford to pay our utility bills. On the island, thanks to criminally stark austerity measures, more than 600 public schools in Puerto Rico have been closed in the past decade. Many of those that remain open suffer from crumbling infrastructure. Meanwhile, in Reading, Pennsylvania, and Philadelphia, where I'm from, the schools that Puerto Rican kids go to have always been filled with asbestos, lead paint, and have more police officers than guidance counselors. On the island, legislation like Act 60 prices Puerto Ricans out of their homes. And in Philadelphia, gentrification and rising rents often leave us teetering on the brink of homelessness. Finally, and perhaps most damningly, it is literally the same US-based corporations and billionaires robbing our communities here that are pillaging the island and hoarding wealth there. Luma and New Fortress Energy are only a couple of examples from the otherwise extensive list. Colonialism is a disease ravaging both those who have stayed and those who have left Puerto Rico. Capitalism and US imperialism are our shared enemy, and they reproduce the same wretched conditions for us no matter where we go. It is precisely because of this that we must promote dialogue, exchange, and unity between the island and the diaspora. The diaspora must and will play a decisive role in the struggle for Puerto Rican independence. As long as the colonial disease is allowed to fester, we will continue to see our island bleed out, our people lose their culture, and our nation become increasingly scattered and vulnerable. Statehood will not cut out the cancer that is colonialism. Our oppressors would have us believe that colonization and philanthropy go hand in hand. This is what colonizers do. They use the language of democracy, protection, wealth, and progress to assert that the colonized need them to survive. Yet we know that this could not be further from the truth. The United States exploits Puerto Rico for 2 reasons: profit and the 200-year curse of the Monroe Doctrine. It is time for the legacy of the Monroe Doctrine to end, and a free Puerto Rico will be key in that struggle. US imperialism is dying, it has outlived its rule in Puerto Rico, and the international community can no longer stand by where our people continue to suffer a failed American.
I thank Ms. Torres for the information provided to the committee. You may now withdraw.